in the first time that Israel was a state and officially could make decisions, one of the very first decisions was to make an ethnic cleansing to others, in this case the Palestinians. 553 villages were demolished. Most of those villages never fought against Israel. I don't know how many of you heard once that people without land are looking for a land without people. This map is full with not very much, only around 800 and something villages, Palestinian villages and cities, exactly of that empty land that people without land looked for. Professor Salman Abu Sita, the one who made this map, probably does not understand anything in geographic and in historic of this country. Otherwise, how comes that he certainly invent so many villages? When I looked after Palestinians that were left in the country, I asked people not very far from the area of Haifa, the city I was born, of people of 48 from villages like Kafren, Subaren, Sindiana, Shuf, Mazar, Tira, Tantura, Jabba, Ijzim, and Razal, Kufr Lam, Sarfan, etc. Many, more than 40 villages, all of them are no more existing. And by the way, I must give you that example of this exact area of the coastal area of between Haifa and at that time Tel Aviv, Yafo. In this area exactly, they were living at those times 64 villages. From these 64, only 2 remained after this war. Only 4 of all of those 64 fought against Israel, as far as we know. All the other didn't fight, and nevertheless, all of the people were pushed away, and all of the villages were destroyed. The other 2 remaining, Jisr Zarqa and Faradis, are 2 villages very close to 3 settlements of Israel that said that they want these people to be their workers. Another reason, which probably you won't find in any book, is that D. Ben-Gurion, the holy founder of Israel, that was Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, first of Israel, decided to take these 2 villages as a kind of example to tell everyone, well, you see that these 2 villages raised white flag in the first moment and we didn't touch them. And others fought against us, and what choice did we have? And this is, I'm very ashamed to say, a great lie. Most of all of the villages never fought, and nevertheless they don't exist any longer. Very soon after I began to look after the Palestinians, I paid attention that whenever I mentioned the name of the village Tantura, the reaction was not as always. And therefore I decided to ask one of those old people of 48 what it is about, Shul Khurafiyya in Arabic. And the answer was Majjara Kbiri, which means big massacre. Beginning of that moment, I could not, as an historian, to move away from this village Tantura, knowing that probably something very extraordinary happened there. And You probably know that the moment an historian take any evidence relevant to his research and put him away because of any reason like you are a Jew, it may make a kind of a damage to your holy nation and so on, that moment you stop being historian, you begin to be storytellers or a liar or who knows what. But this moment you stop being an historian. And I looked after more and more Palestinians, knowing that I have to find everyone that is possible to tell me something about what happened in Tantura, Israelis and Palestinians. And from the 135 people that I interviewed for this research, 65 are those concerning Tantura, half Jews, half Palestinians. All of the theses could be different totally without those personal stories. I just give you one example of one of the documents I found in the Israeli archive of the Israeli army. There is there one order of the commander of the area of Haifa, not very far from Tantura, ordering the commander of Tantura treat fast to bury all those who died in Tantura in order to prevent high disease. And this was about almost 3 weeks after the battle. Talking about battle, it wasn't such a great battle. Tantura had only a few night guards, a few hundred meters far from the village. And the moment that the line of those guards was broken, they ran away back to the village, telling the people it's all finished, just go out, raise hands. When I asked people how many died in Tantura from the Palestinians, I was told about 15 to 20. But one of the soldiers that I interviewed told me that after conquering the village, all of the village was taken to the seashore, and they put them men aside and women and children in the other side. And the commander of the company of that soldier was going among those men of Tantura, asking them personally, where is your rifle? The moment the one answered, I have no rifle, he was directly shot in his head. Those who said, my rifle is somewhere hidden next to my house, were taken, knotted to their houses, and the rifle went out and the one did not. The highest officer that I interviewed was a general named Shlomo Ambar. He told me at the very beginning of the interview, when I saw what my friends, Israeli soldiers, doing in Tantura cemetery, I couldn't bear it any longer and I stayed away from the place. Because he was not directly a commander of fighters at that battle, he just was responsible to get away with all kinds of obstacles that disturb people to come closer. Maybe he had therefore a better conscience to speak about what happened, and he didn't speak very much, but with very, very small details, it was quite too much already. When I asked him, what are you talking about the cemetery, he told me, never mind, go ahead to Jabba, Ijdim and Razal, the other villages that I researched. And then I wanted to know, because it was the beginning of the interview, tell me what happened there. And he again refused. But a minute later he was saying between me and him something like, but you know, even the Germans did not kill military prisoners that were alive. And then I asked him, what are Germans doing here? We are talking about Tantura, Jabba, Itzim, and Razal, and he did not react. But at those very days, I was also interviewing Palestinians that told me that in a certain minute, all of the men of Tantura were taken to the cemetery of the village, and they put them in lines, and they ordered them to begin digging